Hello and welcome to the Inspiring Life School podcast. This is your host, Frances Vidakovic, and on this podcast, I'll be sharing with you the most valuable strategies to live your one wildly beautiful and most precious life. Because this is it, my friend. In case you haven't guessed, when it comes to life, there's no rewind or pause button that exists. They say that the way that you spend your days is the way that you spend your life. So my one and only goal here is to help you stop wasting your time, stop holding yourself back in life, stop experiencing non-stop negative mind chatter, stop just dreaming without doing, and start living life fearlessly instead, with more purpose, focus, and intention. I sincerely want you to live life in a way that when you come to the end of it, you know deep down in your heart that you 100% gave it your all, flaws and all. This podcast is not about doing life perfectly. Instead, it is about experiencing and living life with more clarity and courage and truly appreciating this precious adventure that we are so blessed to be on. So if you're with me here today, it's time to stop spinning in circles, get off the hamster wheel for good, put your hands back on the steering wheel of your life, and finally start living life in a way that you won't later regret. With that being said, let's dive on in. Hello, my friend, and welcome to the Inspiring Life School podcast. I'm your host, Frances Vidakovic, and today's episode is all about how to change deeply rooted thoughts that are keeping you stuck in life. Now, I know that I speak often here about the power of choosing and focusing on thoughts that generate the results that you want in your life, because we all hopefully know by now that your thoughts are going to influence your feelings, which in turn impact your actions and results in life. But what if you are having trouble replacing those old thoughts that aren't serving you well? What if you recognize, like you see it, you see that they're crappy and you know that they're not one bit useful, but it feels so hard to dig them out because it feels like they were planted years ago in the foundations of your super young mind. So some example thoughts that might be ones that you're holding on to really tightly that you just can't let go of might include, I'm not good enough. I can't do this. I always fail. I'm not capable of change. I'm not capable or worthy of success. Nothing's going to come out of my efforts. I'm destined to be poor or to be stuck or to be terrible at managing my money. Or maybe you're just experiencing like this weird feeling like it's not safe for you to succeed and you can't actually pinpoint the exact thoughts that's making you feel this way, but you know that it's there somewhere in the dark recesses of your mind. So just hearing me say these examples out loud might make it really obvious to you if you're holding on to thoughts like this. Thoughts that have a potential to hold you back in life, because you already know how that domino effect works, okay? You think a thought, so all of these crappy thoughts are going to generate feelings in you, and those feelings that might come up for you might be feelings of fear, feeling unworthy, and maybe even feeling really hopeless, like there's nothing that you can do, like it really is hopeless, which leads to you playing small and staying small in life and staying stuck. And the thing that's just come to mind through having this conversation is that there'd probably be like thousands, I don't want to say millions, but there'd probably be heaps of people in this world who are experiencing this issue right now. Like they've got those deeply rooted thoughts in their brain that are leading them to feeling a particular way and acting in a particular way and getting particular results, but they don't know that it's their thoughts that are causing this issue. So for you, like if you're listening to this episode today and like you see that it's those thoughts that are holding you back in life, you recognize that they are inside your brain and you're unable to get them to budge, I just want to celebrate you for a moment, because just to have that awareness means that you are one tiny bit ahead. I always say that you can't change anything if you don't have the awareness that something needs to be changed. So just having this awareness, like you recognizing this in yourself, is the first step to change. So before I give you any suggestions on how to change these deeply rooted thoughts, I really do want to say that I believe in the value of seeking out professional help, like for example, therapy, if you aren't seeing much success doing this work yourself. So as someone who has a degree in psychology and I'm trained as a life coach, I'm the first to recommend getting help if you're struggling to solve an issue on your own. And I truly believe it's like the best and kindest thing that you can ever do for yourself. I mean, people don't think twice about investing in a web designer to help them build a website if they're not tech savvy, especially like if you try to do it on your own, like you just realize that you can't, and then it's like, okay, it's time to ask for help. Or people get a painter to paint their home, even though technically they can probably get a paintbrush and paint their own walls. But why not invest money into taking care of yourself? If you're a parent, you probably recognize that we wouldn't hesitate to do it for our kids. So why don't we shower ourselves with the same love and care? I just want to say this first. Like I want to say this up front rather than saving it for the end of the episode, because I truly believe that money that we spend or that we invest in taking care of our brains and our minds never, ever, ever goes to waste. So that being said, I'm still going to offer you the very best advice I have for you to help you change your deeply rooted thoughts. And I'm speaking as someone who has done the work successfully on myself. I think we all come out of our childhood carrying this heavy load on our shoulders, and the thoughts that we carry into our adult years are often these limiting beliefs that we've never stopped to question before, and consequently we just think it's the truth. Like we think because a teacher told us when we were maybe 6 years old that we weren't good enough, that this is the truth about us, or because our parents told us, well, you're a Smith and all the Smiths are never good with money, and they're reporting this as if it's factual news. Well, it must be true. You're never going to be good with money. So the first step to beginning to shake up these deeply rooted thoughts is just to recognize that they're thoughts. That's all they are. They're a sentence that you're repeating to yourself over and over again in your own head, and you're believing it to be true. And maybe someone told you this sentence and they believe it was true, but either way, it's just a sentence. That's all it is. It's a sentence. So let's just start here. Like 1, recognize that you're holding really tight onto sentences or a story inside your own head. Even your most deeply rooted thoughts that feel like they're imprinted on your brain, they're nothing more than a sentence that you keep on telling yourself. So once you understand this, that the thoughts that we're telling ourselves about our past, about our worth, about our potential, they're just a sentence, we can move on to tip number 2, or point number 2 is this. Understand that the sentences that we say to ourselves can be changed, because you really do get to decide to think whatever you want to think about yourself and your past and your future and your potential and about your ability. You just get to decide. So you can decide to think that you're worthy. You can decide to think that you are safe because you have your own back. You can decide to think that you are good enough. These are decisions and beliefs that you get to make about yourself, and it's really no one else's business what they think about you or me. Like someone could say, well, you're not good enough. They might think that to be true about me, and I'm totally fine with that because I'm going to let them be wrong about that. And you have the same option here. What matters more than what anyone tells you about you is what you think about yourself. And you can make a conscious decision to choose to tell yourself a different story about your life so far. So take a moment just to think about the following questions. Like, how are you actually strong rather than weak? How are you actually worthy? In what ways are you safe? In what ways have you actually been great at taking care of your money? In what ways have you shown up in ways that have demonstrated determination and resilience and patience and kindness and love and understanding in this world? I always say that you're going to find what you're looking for. So be open to actively looking for proof that it's possible that you were wrong about yourself in the past. It's possible that all the other people were wrong and it doesn't actually matter what they think. Look for proof that you are a pretty amazing, freaking amazing human being. Proof that the only reason that you remain stuck for so long is because you were holding on to thoughts that kept you stuck. And that's all that happened. You just held on to thoughts that kept you stuck. And now what you need to do is just gently let them go. And I really do wish that I could record like one episode, and after you listen to it, all your deeply rooted thoughts would just disappear with a click of a finger forever. But the truth is, and this really is tip 3 for you, please know that this is a process that takes time and consistent practice. And you also have to be kind to yourself, like super kind to yourself throughout this process while you're doing the work to replace unuseful thoughts that you might have been carrying for many, many years and decades. But it's almost like if you rip out a tree, like with deep roots from your garden. I don't know if you've ever done that before, but number 1, like you almost need a bulldozer to get them out. But what remains often looks like a messy blank canvas. Okay, but still a blank canvas. And you know what's required to get it looking good again and healthy again? You need to do some work. Okay, you need to add new soil. You need to plant new seeds. Maybe you need to get a new plant or a baby tree or a flower bush. And then once you've found the new thing that you want to plant, you've got to watch out for it. You've got to water it. You've got to care for it. You've got to make sure that the conditions are optimal and suited to helping it grow. You don't just stick a seed into the soil and think it's magically going to grow into this magnificent plant with zero input or care from you. It's like how a newborn baby needs our constant love and attention to grow really well. Okay, the thoughts that we want to be embracing moving forward, those new thoughts that you're going to be replacing the crappy ones with, also need your love and attention. Okay, they're going to require the same nurturing and consistent care from you in order to grow, in order to stick. And I share this with you so that you understand that there's going to be patience required on your behalf. You're going to have to invest some time in this process, but it is seriously so worth it. And now is not the time to sit down and look for a quick fix. Okay, there's no quick fix for this. Just like you can't go to the gym and work out once and like be super toned overnight, the same truth applies to when it comes to changing our brains, changing our deeply rooted thoughts. Be patient, be consistent, and stick with it, my friend. Which brings me to the 4th and final tip that I have for you today. Like, if you get to tell yourself a different story, okay, and you get to practice telling yourself a different story I want you to pinpoint the 3 thoughts that you want to consciously choose to embrace moving forward. So just start with 3. I find that so many people want to do a complete overhaul in their life, and then they start to feel overwhelmed because there's so much work to do. But just start with 3. What are the 3 thoughts that you really want to let go of? And ideally, it'd be best if you'd be able to pinpoint the thoughts that are actually causing you the most friction or causing you the most grief, giving you the most grief when you think those thoughts in your head. What are they? So maybe I might give you an example. Maybe just to think that I'm not worthy of success. Maybe that's one of your deeply rooted thoughts, okay? And you know that you need to shake that up. So the replacement thought in this example might be, I am worthy of success. And if that feels like it's just too much for you, like you haven't leaned into that space yet, I recommend then starting with just a bridge thought, okay? So instead you could tell yourself, it's possible that I'm worthy of success. I mean, most of us would agree it's possible that you are worthy of success. And then when you get really comfortable with that, you can then switch it up to I am worthy of success. Let's just start to shift very slowly from the I'm not worthy of success. If that's a real core, deeply rooted belief, just move very slowly to the next step. What's the next step up that thought ladder? And for you, it might be it's possible that I am worthy of success. So I talk about this all in my Managing Your Mind master course, where I just show you how to very, very slowly move up that thought ladder. So when it comes to having that deeply rooted belief that you are really bad with money, okay, it might be quite a jump to go straight to oh my gosh, I'm so fantastic with money. You don't have to go there straight away. But it's possible that you know how to manage money. It's possible. It's possible that you could learn. Changing our thoughts is often like untangling a necklace. I always use that example in my coaching program. You have a necklace and it's really messy. You just want to untangle it one little knot at a time, until eventually that knot loosens inside your own brain and you start to see that you can choose to think different thoughts. So I know that I could potentially talk for ages about changing the deeply rooted thoughts that you might be holding on to. But number one, I want you to just before we end the episode, I want you to recognize that if you're thinking a thought and it's really making you feel crappy, I would take that as almost a red flag or a really glaring sign that it's time to gently let it go. And you need to do the work to make that happen. So go back and just implement the short and really simple strategies that I've suggested to you in this episode. This is probably the best place to start, okay? You don't have to jump straight to the finish line, but you just have to get started. And I always feel like I offer the most simplest strategies just to get you moving in the right direction. And I want you to be open to the fact that this actually could be potentially a lot simpler. I'm not saying easier, but the process itself could be a lot simpler than you might have imagined it to be. Because the moment you stop repeating to yourself those deeply rooted thoughts and you begin to challenge it, so that's a simple strategy that I'm offering to you, not to say that it's easy, but you can already see how your brain would start to be thinking differently about yourself. If every time you have that deeply rooted thought come up in your brain, you're like, hang on, is that really true? Is that really true, brain? Or brain, I don't want to be holding on to that anymore, okay? I'm willing to reach for something different. Just to challenge that thought, just to be listening to this episode today is proof that you are ready to reach for something different. And the moment you start to reach for something different, you're going to feel a little bit different and you're going to be taking different actions and your results are going to look different because it always starts with the thoughts. And obviously I want you to be reaching for thoughts that are serving you in life and that are taking you where you want to go. So I hope that this has been super helpful for you. If you have any more questions, you can always email me at hi@inspiringlifedreams.com. As always, I love and appreciate you all so much. Take care and I will catch you on the next episode. Thank you so much for listening to the Inspiring Life School podcast. I really appreciate you allowing me to be a part of your life. If you'd love to stay in touch, please know that you can always find me on Instagram at Vidakovic, or you can visit my website, inspiringmumlife.com, where you can sign up and receive so many amazing freebies that I've created just for you to help you implement all my teachings into practice. There you'll also find all my online courses, resources and programs that I've created to help you uplevel your life in seriously the simplest way possible so that you can ultimately create for yourself a life that feels simpler, lighter, and allows you to show up in a way that you love as your best and most authentic version of yourself. Now remember, this podcast is all about not just dreaming but also doing, because to create true sustainable change in your life, you need to be willing to do things differently. And that's what I'm here to support you to do every single step along the way so that you too can begin to live your one wild and precious life with less stress, less overwhelm, less drama, and instead with zero regrets. Finally, if this podcast resonates with you at all and you appreciate the content, I would absolutely love for you to show your support by leaving me a review on Apple Podcasts. I'm on a mission to help more people wake up to the preciousness of life and to help them live their days with more intention and purpose, and your review will help make this goal of mine possible. Well, once again, thank you so much. I have loved spending this time with you and I look forward to connecting with you again. I'm Frances Vidakovic and you have been listening to the Inspiring Life School podcast.